There are places across America where the shadows never rest. Places where campfire stories are whispered as warnings, not entertainment. But what if those stories weren't fiction? What if the monsters we grew up fearing actually walked among us? Tonight, we journey into 4 of America's most bone-chilling urban legends. Tales passed down through generations, too terrifying and too consistent to ignore. Let's begin in the dark, endless woods of New Jersey, where something ancient, something unnatural, still screams through the night skies. If a creature cries out in the woods and no one's there to hear it, does it even exist? Or is that how it survives? Locals claim they've heard the scream, a shriek so unnatural it freezes your blood mid-pulse. But what if I told you this wasn't just a creature of legend, that centuries of sightings, screams, and slaughtered livestock trace back to one cursed night in 1735? The burning question is, can a mother's curse truly give birth to a demon? It all began in the heart of the Pine Barrens, a sprawling labyrinth of twisted oaks, swamplands, and fog so thick you could choke on it. The Leeds family lived there, isolated from the world. Some said they practiced witchcraft. Others believed they were cursed by the devil himself. On a stormy winter night in 1735, Mother Leeds, exhausted, angry, and already burdened with 12 hungry mouths, screamed into the heavens, "Let this one be a devil." She was pregnant with her 13th child. Her cry wasn't a figure of speech, it was a curse, a wish the darkness heard. When the child was born, midwives gasped. At first, it looked human, but within minutes, its skin turned leathery, its fingers fused into claws, wings tore through its back, and its face, oh God, its face elongated into something grotesque. The creature shrieked, tail whipping through the air, and in one swift motion, it slaughtered the midwife, then its own mother, before vanishing up the chimney and into the storm. That was the first sighting of what would be known as the Jersey Devil. But the story didn't end that night. Over the next 300 years, reports flooded in. Farmers found livestock drained of blood, their ribs cracked open as if by claws. Travelers saw winged shapes darting between the trees. And in 1909, the city of Camden went into full panic. Schools closed, factories shut down. After hundreds claimed to see a winged beast perched on rooftops, police fired shots at it. One officer swore the bullets passed straight through. Another found tracks in the snow, cloven hooves leading to a wall, and continuing up it. To this day, the Pine Barrens remain unnaturally silent at night. Locals still whisper about red eyes glinting between the pines, and some claim when the wind howls just right, you can still hear that scream. The scream of a mother's curse, given flesh. So, was the Jersey Devil truly born of a curse? Or is it something older? A spirit that latched onto human misery, feeding on guilt and folklore? Scientists dismissed the sightings as hysteria, but one thing remains undeniable. The pattern, the cries, the deaths, the centuries of witnesses describing the same thing. Maybe it doesn't matter if it began with a curse, because in the Pine Barrens, the line between myth and monster no longer exists. The dark forests of New Jersey. Another kind of terror hides closer to home. Not in the wild, not in the woods, but inside the walls where you sleep. This is the story of the Bell Witch, a haunting so personal, it destroyed a family from within. Imagine being watched by something you cannot see, something that knows your name, something that strikes when you least expect it. This was not a myth. This was the nightmare that fell upon the Bell family in the small town of Adams, Tennessee. In the early 1800s, John Bell was a farmer. He lived with his wife and children on quiet land. Life was simple until the strange events began. It started small, scratching sounds in the walls, footsteps when no one was there, doors opening by themselves. Then it grew worse. The children were touched by unseen hands. Their mother woke up gasping for air. John Bell felt pressure around his neck, as if invisible hands were trying to choke him. Neighbors began to talk. Some said it was a curse. Others believed it was a witch. Visitors heard voices, clear, mocking, human voices. The spirit argued. It laughed. It sang hymns. The Bell family prayed. They begged. But the voice only grew louder. Soon the attacks focused on John Bell's daughter, Betsy. She was thrown across the room, her hair pulled, her body left bruised. The voice told her she would never know peace. And to John Bell, the message was worse. It wanted him dead. It promised it would never stop until he was gone. Even President Andrew Jackson came to see the haunting. His men tried to stay the night. By morning, they fled in terror. John Bell's health declined. The spirit's voice taunted him every day, until one morning, he was gone. And with his death, the house fell silent. Some said the Bell Witch had completed her mission. Others believe she never left. Even now, people in Adams speak of faint voices in the trees. They hear knocking on their walls at night, and they remember the warning. Some spirits do not just haunt houses. They haunt bloodline. They haunt the living. We're far darker. To the swamps of South Carolina, where the ground is never dry, the air is never still, and something ancient waits beneath the cypress trees. Locals call it Scape or Swamp, a place where headlights vanish into mist and footsteps echo even when you stand alone. Old-timers say that if you stand there long enough, you can hear the faint sound of water dripping, like something breathing, just beneath the surface. And if you ever see two glowing red eyes watching from the fog, it's already too late. They call him the Lizard Man. It all began in the summer of 1988. The air was thick with with humidity, the kind that makes your clothes cling to your skin. Bishopville was a quiet town then, the kind where everyone knew everyone, and nothing bad ever really happened. 17-year-old Christopher Davis worked evenings at a fast food joint just off Main Street. He was like any other kid. Shy smile, old Chevy, a habit of driving home with the windows down and the radio low. But that night, the swamp had other plans. It was just past 2 a.m. when he turned onto Browntown Road, a long, lonely stretch cutting through the swamp. No streetlights, no houses, just fog rolling low across the pavement. Halfway home, the car jolted. A loud bang echoed beneath him. His front tire had blown out. He pulled to the shoulder, the crunch of gravel echoing in the stillness. The engine hissed softly as he killed the ignition. He stepped out, flashlight in hand, and froze. The silence was different here. No frogs, no insects, no wind, just stillness. He crouched beside the tire, twisting the lug nuts loose, sweat trickling down his neck. That's when he heard it, a sound that didn't belong. Slow, deliberate footsteps. Something was moving in the ditch just beyond the beam of his light. He straightened, scanning the tree line. "Hello," he called out. No answer, only the sound of his own breathing and the faint rustle of leaves. He took a step closer, shining the light into the darkness. And that's when he saw them. Two red eyes, glowing, unblinking, set far apart. Not the reflection of an animal, but something emitting light. Then it stepped forward. Christopher's breath caught. The creature towered above the cattails, nearly 7 feet tall. Its body was lean but muscular, skin dark green and slick, like something pulled from the water. 3 thick claws curled from each hand, and when it opened its mouth, he saw rows of jagged teeth glinting in the beam. It tilted its head, and then it charged. Christopher bolted. He dove into his car, slamming the door as claws scraped across the roof. Metal shrieked. The car rocked under the weight of something heavy climbing onto the trunk. He twisted the key. The engine sputtered, then roared to life. Gravel flew as he floored the accelerator, fishtailing down the narrow road. In the rearview mirror, he saw it. A flash of green, arms raised, red eyes burning in the mist before it disappeared into the dark. He didn't stop until he reached home. Hands trembling, he ran inside and woke his father. When they stepped back out to inspect the car, they found 3 deep gashes carved into the metal, paint stripped clean to the steel. The roof was dented, as if something enormous had landed on it. Christopher's father didn't know what to say. He just stared at the damage, then at his son's pale face. Whatever had happened out there, he knew. It wasn't a story. The next day, the sheriff's department investigated. They took photos, measured the scratches, and followed the trail of prints Christopher swore he saw. Each footprint was massive, nearly 20 inches long, 3-toed, sunk deep into the mud like something heavy had passed through. The tracks led down the shoulder, across the ditch, and vanished into the swamp. Sheriff Truesdale later said, "I've seen gaiters, bears, big cats, but I've never seen anything leave tracks like that." Within days, the town was in a frenzy. Reporters arrived. News cameras flashed. Locals gathered at the diner swapping theories. Mutant alligator, escaped experiment, demon from the swamp. But then, the killings started. A farmer named Johnny Hottis woke one morning to find his cattle torn apart. The wounds were deep, shredded by claws, not teeth. The sheriff said it looked like a bear attack. But Johnny had lived there 50 years. He'd seen bears. This wasn't a bear. Over the next 2 weeks, 5 more reports came in. Cars vandalized, livestock mutilated. One couple swore a green creature stepped onto the road just 20 feet from their headlights, stared for several seconds, and then leapt into the trees. The town organized search parties. Men with rifles and flashlights combed the swamp at night. But every time, the tracks would appear, then disappear into standy water. Every time, the forest fell silent, like something was out there, watching them. As the weeks turned to months, the sightings slowed. Christopher moved away, never speaking publicly again. But those who stayed say the legend never died. Even now, on humid nights when the fog hangs heavy over Scapor Swamp, people claim to see something move between the trees. A tall, hunched figure, scales glistening in the moonlight. Fishermen talk about hearing low hisses echoing from the waterline. Truckers driving the old route say they've seen red eyes reflecting in their mirrors, always the same distance behind them, always following, until the mist swallows them whole. Today, the Lizard Man is a piece of South Carolina folklore. Tourists buy shirts, souvenirs, even plush toys. But locals, they don't laugh. They still lock their doors before dark. They still avoid Browntown Road after midnight. And they still tell their children, greater than, if your car ever breaks down near Scapor Swamp, don't get out. Don't look into the trees. And whatever you do, don't look into the eyes, because in Bishopville, they know some legends aren't born from stories. They're born from the dark, and they never really die. The swamp grows quiet, almost unnaturally so, after the Lizard Man disappears into the shadows. Locals whisper about the creature, but the forest does not forget. The swamp, the water, the trees, they all hold secrets. And as you leave the marsh behind, the landscape changes. The air grows thicker, heavier, carrying a faint metallic scent, like blood or rusted metal. You are leaving the territory of one monster, but entering the lair of another. Further east, past the winding rivers and fog-laden forests, you enter the rural heartlands of Maryland. Here, in the small towns and abandoned farmlands, stories circulate about a creature more terrifying than anything seen in the swamps. Half man, half goat, with eyes that gleam like embers in the night. It stalks the woods, waiting for the unlucky, the curious, or the foolish. They call it the Goat Man. The origins of this monster are murky. Some say it is the result of a failed experiment, a secret government project meant to create superhuman soldiers. Others insist it was a local farmer's twisted attempt at genetic engineering gone horribly wrong, combining human DNA with that of a goat. Whatever the truth, one thing is certain. The Goat Man is not natural, and it is very, very hungry. One infamous tale comes from the 1970s. Teenagers parked near an abandoned bridge for a night of harmless mischief. Laughter echoed through the trees until it was replaced by something else. A deep, guttural growl, almost human, almost animal. One girl looked up and saw it, towering, muscular, its horns silhouetted against the moon, its eyes burning with rage. It charged, breaking the bridge railing as if it were paper. The teens ran, slipping in the mud, their screams swallowed by the night. When authorities arrived, all that remained were claw marks, etched deep into the wood, and the unmistakable smell of sulfur and decay. The goatman had vanished, but not for long. Locals whisper that it attacks anyone who wanders too close to its territory. Farmers claim it has smashed barns, killed livestock, and sometimes set traps for humans. Those who survive speak of its incredible strength, its speed, and the horrifying sound it makes. A high-pitched scream mixed with the bellowing of a goat. They say it watches from the tree line, waits until nightfall, then strikes when least expected. In one fictionalized account, a hunter named Marcus ventured deep into the woods, ignoring warnings from townsfolk. He spotted a dilapidated barn with strange symbols carved into the doors. As he stepped inside, a shadow shifted across the wall. The goatman emerged, its body a nightmare of human and goat anatomy, muscles rippling, horns scraping the roof. Marcus ran, but every step was echoed by the creature's heavy, pounding footsteps. He stumbled, and the goatman lunged, stopping just short of his face, letting out a scream that rattled the trees and shook the very ground. By morning, Marcus was found at the edge of the forest, alive but silent, his eyes hollow and haunted, muttering only, "It's not human. It's not human." Some say the goatman is still out there, roaming the forests, growing stronger, hungrier, waiting for the night when curiosity leads someone too far from safety. Others believe it is a warning that humans should not tamper with nature, that experiments, greed, and unnatural ambition can unleash horrors beyond imagination. Tonight, if you walk along an abandoned road or cross a lonely bridge, listen. You might hear something moving in the trees, snapping branches, or a distant scream that pierces the cold air. And if you are unlucky enough to meet its glowing eyes in the darkness, pray you are faster than it is, because the goatman does not forgive. It does not stop, and it is always, always hungry. As the echoes of the lizard man's roar fade and the goat man retreats into the misty forest, you might be asking yourself, why do these creatures exist? Why do the Jersey Devil, the Bell Witch, the Lizard Man, and the Goat Man continue to haunt the shadows of our world? The answer is darker than you think. They are warnings, remnants, and manifestations of humanity's deepest fears. Each monster is born from neglect, greed, curiosity, and the unknown. The Bell Witch cursed a family for betrayal and hubris. The Jersey Devil stalks the skies as a reminder that the wilderness holds secrets older than civilization. The Lizard Man thrives where fear and superstition linger, and the Goatman, a product of experiments and human ambition, embodies the consequences of tampering with nature. They are all connected by one truth. There are corners of this world where humans are not the top of the food chain, and curiosity can be deadly. Sometimes the things that watch you from the shadows are far more real than you ever imagined. And the most terrifying part, they are patient. They wait, they learn, and they strike when you least expect it. If these stories sent shivers down your spine, don't forget to like, hit the bell icon, and subscribe to Haunted Horizons for more tales that will haunt your dreams. From restless spirits and cryptids to curses and the unexplained, we bring the darkness to life. Remember, every forest, every abandoned place, every whisper in the dark might be hiding something you don't want to see. Until next time, keep your eyes open and maybe, just maybe, listen to the whispers.